Hi everyone, my name is Shauna. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through the reader's profile tag. I was kindly tagged by Ellen over at Ellen Made Book Club, and the tag was originally created by Hilary at Book Bustle. So yeah, there's actually quite a few questions, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I do suggest getting a drink. I am currently drinking a Cove soda in grape flavor. The Cove sodas have taken over my life. I won't lie. They're just so good. But anyway, and also a new glass because these are stunning and I love them. But I'm going to get into it. First question. What makes a book good, in my opinion? Easy. If I cry. If I cry while reading a book, the book will immediately go to 4 stars or higher. If I get emotionally attached to fictional characters to the point that I feel like I'm actually gonna lose them, then I'm sold. Like, if I am emotionally invested in a character and what's gonna happen to them, then the book is good. It sneaks its way into my heart. If a book sneaks its way into my heart, it's deemed good, in my opinion. Question number 2, what book am I currently reading? I am currently reading The Appeal by Janice Hallett. It is I want to say cozy murder mystery. It's also kind of mixed media, which I find super fun. It's told through emails and messages and texts, so it's really, really funky. But yes, 1 murder, 15 suspects, a wholly original puzzle by Janice Hallett, who also wrote the Twyford Code, and then she has a new one coming out, and I cannot remember the name of it, but I'm really excited about it. But yes, that's what I'm currently reading. Question number 3, what is the last book you didn't finish and why? I'm going to put the books here that I don't physically own a copy of, which is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I tried reading this 2 years ago, I think, 3 years ago, whenever it came out. If I had read that book when I was 16, I would have eaten that book up. I would have devoured that book in one sitting. It is totally my vibes. It's kind of like City of Bones in the sense of urban fantasy, but in this case obviously it's not demons and shadow hunters, it's knights and Arthurian legend. Regardless, doesn't matter. Would have devoured that book had I been younger. When I read it a couple years ago, I was just not in that state anymore, and I could just see the love triangle and I could just see the hype building, and I could not get into it, and I'm really sad because I know so many people love that book and that series. I just couldn't. I DNF'd it. I just couldn't. I just was so bored. Anyways, that's a personal thing. Books are subjective. Me enjoying it, you loving it, both valid. Just so we're clear. Anyway, book number 4. What obscure book do you wish other people would read? Easy. The Honey Month by Amal El Motar. Beautiful. It's 90 pages of beauty. It is literally the author is in February, it's cold, it's dreary, and we're trying to kind of get through it by literally appreciating different honeys and bees and the way they produce honey and what vibes they're giving and what it reminds you of, and the nostalgia of summer. Doesn't matter. Read that book, fall in love, eat honey. There's not enough people talking about it. That's all I'll say. Number 5, what's the longest book I've ever read? I went looking. I was fairly certain it was going to be Patrick Rothfuss. Yeah, Patrick Rothfuss or Brandon Sanderson. The fact that it isn't, it's Diana Gabaldon, pretty funny to me because anyways, it is The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon. This is just over 1,400 pages. This is the longest book that I've read. She's chunky. I have mass market paperback for almost every book in this series because I'm I couldn't imagine carrying this in my bag anymore. They are bricks. But anyway, it's The Fiery Cross. If you could have a dinner party with 5 fictional characters, who would they be? I actually love this question. I've thought about this question since I was a child. First off, Katza from Graceling. Why? Have you read Graceling? If you haven't, go read it and then come back and watch this video and you'll know why. She is the coolest badass woman you will ever read about. She has a grace. Her grace is killing. Or is it? You read, you find out. She's amazing. I would love to meet her. I would love to sit at her table and try to solve the realm's problems. Okay, next one. Ophelia from A Winter's Promise. Why? Because I think her and I have very similar vibes in like, we kind of quietly just want to get shit done. We just want to put our heads down, do our thing, and stop interacting with as many people as we have to. Sorry I said it. I had to say it. Sorry. Anyways, Ophelia from A Winter's Promise. Also a beautiful series, also beautiful covers. Next person would be Frances from Radio Silence. I can't remember when I last talked about this book. It was in another video. Sorry, the light is really reflecting on that. I talked about this book in another video. I will try to link it up above if I remember where I talked about it. That Alice Oseman may have followed me, may have learned about my life and then wrote about it. I connect way too deeply with Frances, way too deeply. There are some things in this book that have only happened to me and I never thought someone else would deal with it, and she deals with it. This book resonates with me so much. I would love to speak with Frances because I think she and I might be soul sisters. Anyway. The next one would be Jack and Adira from the Elements of Caden series. This one is just a Fire Endless. This is the second book. But yes, I would take both of them at my table and gladly have a chat with them because they're both amazing human beings and beautiful and lovely and magical and fantastical and all of those words. And I just want to sit across from them. Is there more to say? And we have... Oh, actually, that's a good one. Anna Delabra from The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. She is cool, eccentric, weird, wacky, and wonderful. I would gladly have her at my table, and it would be a murder mystery themed dinner party. Someone would die. She would solve it in 20 seconds. It would be cool as hell to watch. Okay, 5 books I would take on a stranded island. If I was stranded in a desert island, what 5 books would I take with me? That is question number 7. Number 1. This is how you lose the time war. Amma El-Mutar, again, because I absolutely adore her, and Max Gladstone wrote this book. It's fantastic. I read it once a year. If I was stranded on a desert island, I would read it every other week. I love this book. It is one of my favorites of all time. I would take this book with me. Next up is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I love Hamnet. This book transported me back in time, in place, in body, in spirit, in soul. I fell into this book. I fell into this story. I fell into this world. I fell in love with the characters. I would read this book to mentally escape the desert island. Up next, Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. 1, this book is chunky. I'm actually surprised that when I looked this up on Goodreads, this book wasn't the winner of how big of books I've ever read, but this is only 1,310. Anyway. Okay, reason number 1. The book is huge. It would take so long to read on Desert Island. It would be great. It would keep me busy for a good month. Okay. Number 2, this is my favorite in the series. I love the Stormlight Archives series, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you could watch a million videos of people saying Stormlight Archives is good and fun and entertaining. Yes, whatever. All of that is true. Words of Radiance is my favorite. I still dream about certain scenes in this book and actively want to be Kaladin. I want to be Kaladin. I want to be the chosen one. I want to be Kaladin. Anyway, this would come with me. Okay. I think this is, last 2 here of... I'm like, it feels good to be able to take 5 books to a desert island. Anyway, The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Noller. I would need educational material. This is fiction, but there's a lot in here about octopuses that I'm starting to question if octopuses are not super sentient and maybe aliens. And I would need this to be able to figure out how I could communicate with octopuses and then they could save me. Simple as that. I'm just trying to save myself. Okay. Last but not least is Circe. To the people who answered this question, Circe is also trapped on an island. We're just reading this in solidarity with her. Circe, Madeline Miller, also coming with me. Okay. Last but not least, I think there's 3 more questions. And I say last but not least because I forgot. This is not 8, it's 10 questions. Question number 8. 1 book you could not put down. Easy. It has to be Uprooted by Naomi Novak. This, like when I read this book and fell in love again with fantasy. I fell in love with fantasy. I loved this. I love magic. I love old-timey feelings. I love being pulled by a carriage and a horse. I love eating oatmeal in a giant kitchen castle. Castle kitchen. Doesn't matter. I fell in love with fantasy again for like the umpteenth time after reading Uprooted. Couldn't put it down. Okay. 5 books or authors that you'll never read. This I actually think will be kind of fun here. I'm like tempted to put little X's over their faces, but I am worried what YouTube will think of that when I do that. Doesn't matter. Colleen Hoover. I will not read Coho. I'm not that type of girly. Again, books are subjective. If you love her, you love her. I don't want to read her books. They're not my vibe. How do I know that? I've heard other people talk about them endlessly. They're not my vibe. Do not want to read her. Number 2, The Twilight Saga. I missed the train. I missed the boat. I missed the car. I missed every mode of transportation to read this book and enjoy it in this series and enjoy it right now in my life. I don't want to. I'm not interested. Anne Rand? How do you say this name? I feel foolish now saying this. Anne Rand? Okay. You could hurt someone with these books. They are physically, each and every one of them, 1,000 pages. Like, they're each huge books. I have no idea who this person is. I can't even picture the author in my mind. I assume it's just a computer. I don't even know why. Ayn Rand could be like a saint. For all I know, they could be the nicest human being on the planet. But if you write books like this, it makes me question what's going on in your mind. There's too much. I also tried getting a scholarship once, and you had to read one of their books and then write a persuasive essay about it. I couldn't get through the book. I literally couldn't even pick it up. I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't go to the library and pick up a copy of this book because when I looked at the page count, I went, it's not worth the scholarship money. Isn't that terrible? I say that now, and that is so terrible. Okay, anyway. Nora Roberts. Nora Roberts. Fun fact about Nora Roberts. I think she has 200 books. No, don't quote me on that. Look that up for yourselves. How many books does Nora Roberts have? How many books has she written in her name or with ghostwriters? I don't care. Look up Nora Roberts. If you produce at this level, if you are writing that much, that's a quantity over quality. I can't do it. It's like I pick up one, it's a drop in a bucket. I can't do it. James Patterson. Don't know why, only to say every time I'm at secondhand bookstores and there's entire shelves, and you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about if you are in the same thrift stores that I'm in, and you will be if you're where I'm from, the country of Canada. He has whole shelves. Him and 2 other authors will dominate 1/2 of the store with just their books. And it's like, I don't even want to see, James, you could be a super nice guy. You genuinely could, and this is no offense against you. I don't want to see your name on a book anymore. I see it too often in thrift stores, and I'm like, I'm over it. Yeah, I'm sorry. These are authors and books and whatever that I'm just not going to read. Sorry. Last but not least, 10. If I could write a book, what would it be about? Easy. It's easy. I actually love this question. It's easy. Chosen One fantasy. I love Chosen One fantasies. I love the idea of one person with an immense amount of power. My book, specifically, Hyperfixate, would focus on the unreal expectations that person has to face, the isolation that person faces, the fanatic, praise, whether that be religious, whether that be political, whether that be from citizens, that this person has to deal with, and how it impacts their view of the world, but also their view of self. I love Chosen One fantasies, but there is way too much of they embrace this and are yeah, I'm gonna save the world. It's gonna be me and 2 other people, but don't worry, it's gonna be me. I'm gonna do it. It's if someone said that to you, be honest with yourself. What would you do? What is your next step? There is so much more to that. And I actually appreciate that. Fun fact about Dune, random thought, Dune, the second movie with Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya and all them. I loved the ending of that movie because that became very clear to me that he was this religious figure, and at some point he could not be a man and and this like religious deity. Like, they are not the same past. Like, they're not. And like, that's what I like. I love that division of like that point of division. Like, I'm not talking you're here, you're a god now, you're a human. I'm talking about right here when you're about to decide whether you are just going to be a human being or you are going to take yourself to the next level and essentially separate yourself from humanity to be the chosen one, the unique, special, only one who can save the whole world. That right there is the sweetest conflict I could imagine. That's my book. Should I trademark it now? Somebody tell me if it's already a book. Okay. And of course, I have to tag some people because Ellen was so kind to tag me, and so I'm going to pass it along to Emily from the Linguistics Library and Ty from Ty's Book Corner. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This one was actually such a blast to film because I was like writing on my computer like all of the ideas and like the books I was going to grab or the people I wanted to bring in my dinner party. This was such a blast. So thank you, Ellen, for tagging me, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care. See you soon.